get to the verse, I'm going to link up with Veda base. Can everybody see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Savita. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaivam Narottamam Devim Saraswatam Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirate Nashtaprayashu Bhatreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtukim. Brahmano hi pratishtha ham amritasya vayasyasya cha shashvatsa cha dharmasya sukhasya ekantikasya cha. Brahmano hi pratishtha ham amritasya vyayasya cha shashvatsya cha dharmasya sukhasya ekantikasya cha. Brahmano hi pratisthaham amritasya vyayasya cha sashvatasya cha dharmasya sukhasya ekantikasya cha. Can someone please chant the verse?
Brahmano hi pratisthaham amritasya vyayasya cha sasvatasya cha dharmasya sukhasya ekantikasya cha.
Very nice, Sudhakar Prabhu.
Krishna.
Anybody else?
Brahmano hi pratishtaham amrutasya vayasya cha shashvatasya cha dharmasya sukhasya kantikasya cha.
Very nice, Mataji. Anyone else, please? One more.
Right, Prabhuji.
Yes, please. Don't worry about the...
Brahmano hi pratishtha aham amritasya vyaya asya cha sasvatasya cha dharmasya sukhasya ekantikasya cha.
Haribol. Full marks, Mataji. So now, yeah, go ahead. Who else wants to do it? Please read. Anyone else? Okay, so now we'll read the synonyms, translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Synonyms. Brahmana, of the impersonal Brahma Jyotir. He, certainly. Pratishtha, the rest. Aham, I am. Amritasya, of the immortal. Avyayasya, of the imperishable. Cha, also. Shashvatsya, of the eternal. Cha, and. Dharmasya, of the constitutional position. Sukhasya, of happiness. Aikantiksha, ultimate. Cha, also. Translation. And I am the basis of the impersonal Brahman, which is immortal, imperishable, and eternal, and is the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. Purport. The constitution of Brahman is immortality, imperishability, eternity, and happiness. The Brahman is the beginning of the transcendental realization. Paramatma, the Supersoul, is the middle, the second stage in transcendental realization. And the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate realization of the Absolute Truth. Therefore, both Paramatma and the impersonal Brahman are within the Supreme Personal. It is explained in the 7th chapter that material nature is the manifestation of the inferior energy of the Supreme Lord. The Lord impregnates the inferior material nature with fragments of the superior nature, and that is the spiritual touch in the material nature. When a living entity conditioned by this material nature begins the cultivation of spiritual knowledge, he elevates himself from the position of material existence and gradually rises up to the Brahman conception of the Supreme. This attainment of the Brahman conception of life is the first stage in self-realization. At this stage, the Brahman realized person is transcendental to the material position, but he is not actually perfect in Brahman realization. If he wants, he can continue to stay in the Brahman position and then gradually rise up to the Paramatma realization, and then to realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are many examples of this in the Vedic literature. The four Kumaras were first situated in the impersonal Brahman conception of truth, but then they gradually rose to the platform of devotional service. One who cannot elevate himself beyond the impersonal conception of Brahman runs the risk of falling down. In Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that although a person may rise to the stage of impersonal Brahman without going further, with no information of the Supreme Person, his intelligence is not perfectly clear. Therefore, in spite of being raised to the Brahman platform, there is the chance of falling down if one is not engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. In the Vedic language, it is also said, Rasovaisa rasa hi evaya labdva nandi bhavati. When one understands the personality of Godhead, the reservoir of pleasure, Krishna, he actually becomes transcendentally blissful. Taittiriya Upanishad 2.7.1. The Supreme Lord is full in 6 opulences, and when a devotee approaches him, there is an exchange of these 6 opulences. The servant of the king enjoys on an almost equal level with the king. Therefore, and so, eternal happiness, imperishable happiness, and the eternal life accompany devotional service. Therefore, realization of Brahman, or eternity, or imperishability, is included in devotional service. This is already possessed by a person who is engaged in devotional service. The living entity, although Brahman by nature, has the desire to lord it over the material nature, and due to this he falls down. His constitutional position, a living entity is above the 3 modes of material nature, but association with material nature entangles him in different modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. Due to the association of these 3 modes, his desire to dominate the material world is there. By engagement in devotional service in full Krishna consciousness, he is immediately situated in the transcendental position, and his unlawful desire to control material nature is removed. Therefore, the process of devotional service, beginning with hearing, chanting, remembering, the prescribed 9 methods for realizing devotional service should be practiced in the association of devotees. Gradually, by such association, by the influence of the spiritual master, one's material desire to dominate is removed, and one becomes firmly situated in the Lord's transcendental loving service. This method is prescribed from the 22nd to the last verse of this chapter. Devotional service to the Lord is very simple. One should always engage in the service of the Lord, should eat the remnants of foodstuffs offered to the deity, smell the flowers offered to the lotus feet of the Lord, see the places where the Lord had his transcendental pastimes, read of different activities of the Lord, his reciprocation of love with his devotees, chant always the transcendental vibration, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and observe the fasting days commemorating the appearance and disappearance of the Lord and his devotees. By following such a process, one becomes completely detached from all material activities. one who can thus situate himself in the Brahma Jyotir or the different varieties of the Brahman conception is equal to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in quality. Hare Krishna. Om Agnyantimirantasya Gyananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapatantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapata Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parichana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishnabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Paschatya Teshatarane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Kadadhar Shrivasadi Kaura Bhakta Brinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. So thank you, dear devotees, for your participation. Our learning focus on this last shloka of the chapter is going to be, we'll understand the three stages of God realization. This is a background, the Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan realization. And also what we'll do is we'll go a little bit deeper into 1427 as Prabhupada has explained it. Then what is the conclusion? Since this is the last chapter, we'll bring it all together. And what is the takeaway of chapter 14, the essence? That's what we'll examine. And then, of course, it's always interactive. So your participation in what we can do differently to achieve total God realization. So we all are doing something. And most of our activities are related to these modes. That's the trigger, the mode of material nature, goodness, passion, ignorance. This is the impetus which makes us do activities. So what is it that we can do differently which will help us in God realization? As ever, my humble obeisance to Gauranga Priya Prabhu, whose Bhagavad Gita notes is what I refer to in preparing for Bhagavad Gita class. Hare Krishna. So let's understand these three stages of God realization. Actually, self-realization brings about God realization. When we talk about God, please understand, God is a title. Just like you have a title of CEO, CFO, manager, supervisor, title. Okay, but we know common sense says that the title is conferred upon a person. So you would have whatever, a CFO, it would be a person, a Prabhu or a Mataji, whatever it be. So God is a title. Keep that very much in mind. God is a title. And the person on whom this title is conferred on is the omniscient, omnipotent, and omniscient, all-knowing, all-seeing, all-pervading, and my mind slips. Can somebody help me? What are the three? Omniscient, omnipotent, and Hare Krishna. Does anyone know this third characteristic?
Prabhuji, did you say omnipresent?
Omnipresent. Omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent. Thank you. Thank you, Mataji. Omnipresent. Correct. Means everywhere. He's everywhere. That's him, one characteristic. Omniscient. He knows everything that's going on. And omnipotent, all-powerful. These three things, correct? So it's also known as the absolute truth. So to know the absolute truth, let's see what is truth. Truth, know that it has these characteristics. One is it is eternal, it's forever, it doesn't change, and it is independent. It doesn't require the majority to say it is independent, that it is the truth. Whether someone agrees with it, someone disagrees with it, truth doesn't care. It remains as is. You can't add anything to the truth. You can't remove anything from the truth. Truth is truth. So keep these three things point in mind. And if any one of these doesn't meet, it is not truth. It is just some perception, the understanding of truth, the misconception of truth, perceptions. Okay. So the absolute truth is not relative. It's not based on perceptions or anything. So the absolute truth is a person. The absolute truth is the characteristic of the person. The supreme personality of Godhead, that person, his original name is Krishna, is the absolute truth. And how we can experience this absolute truth is in three progressive stages of realization. That word progressive is very important. So the first stage is the basic level. The first step is called the Brahman realization. It is the Sat aspect. We know that Krishna is Sat Chit Ananda. Sat aspect. So this omnipresence, omnipresent, correct? That aspect is called Sat. So as explained by Prabhupada, immortal, imperishable, eternal, and the constitutional position of ultimate happiness. That is the Sat aspect. Now, there is this energy, the internal energy of Krishna, which makes all this possible, and it is in three parts. So the first part is the Sat aspect, known as the Sandhani Shakti, on basis of which everything exists. And that is Shri Baldev. That is Shri Baldev. That is the first stage of realization, the Brahman realization. Now, a little higher than that is the middle stage of realization called the Paramatma Realization. That is the Chit aspect, the localized. He is local with every living entity. He is also within the space between atoms. So that is called the Samvit Shakti, on basis of which everything is known or perceived. And that is Shri Krishna. And then finally, the highest stage of realization is Bhagavan. Bhagavan is a compound word made up of Bhaga and Van. Bhaga is the opulence, all good fortune, opulence. So there are 6 types of opulence that Krishna possesses in full totality. Does anyone know what these 6 opulences are? It's open to all the participants. You can unmute.
I can name a few, Prabhuji, that are coming to my head right now.
Yeah, please go ahead.
One is knowledge,
Full of
beauty,
knowledge, beauty.
wealth. What is it called? Surrender or austerity, something like that.
Renunciation.
Renunciation.
Fame.
Opulence.
How many did I say? Okay.
Yeah, fame and opulence.
Okay.
Opulence, all opulence. Now, please understand.
Strength will also come, right? Strength and power, something. One more will be coming.
Yeah, Bala.
Strength.
Omnipotent.
Omnipotent, yeah, okay.
Oh, that wasn't said?
Yeah, power and strength is what I mean.
Yeah, the omnipotent. That's omni means full. So Krishna possesses this in full, complete. We experience minuscule portions of it. So we can see that, there are people who are very wealthy, people who are very famous, people who are renounced. So all of us, being part and parcel of him, have this in some minuscule, because we are the infinitesimal portion of Krishna. He possesses it all in full. We have it in a little bit quantity. So that is Bhagavan. The 6 opulences, the possessor in full is Bhagavan. And this can be a good benchmark, because a lot of fraudsters come along the way, Godmen they call them, who claim themselves to be Bhagavan. Oh, you're Bhagavan? Do you possess all the wealth? Do you possess all the beauty? Not just that your followers are saying that you are really beautiful. So this is one yardstick to understand who is Bhagavan. So this is Krishna, Bhagavan. And that's the Anand aspect of him. This is the full understanding. So if we get Bhagavan realization, we understand everything. So that original form of Krishna, Krishna has many forms. He expands into many, 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 many forms, countless, infinite forms. But that original form is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What is Godhead? Godhead is the absolute truth. That's the word, Godhead. Godhead means the absolute truth. And that's his pleasure potency, Ladani Shakti, on basis of which bliss is generated. And that is Shrimati Radharani. Now, if you can look at this, an analogy given is that the first stage is like, this is an image of a hazy mountain. So if you're far away, from far, you can just make out some shape. If you look here, just some shape is there. We don't know, it's just some shape, far off. That is the first stage of Brahman realization. Then, after that comes, as you get a little bit closer, the details become a little bit more clear. It's clearer. You can see as compared to this Brahman realization. You can see, oh, there's a pointy peak. It's like this. And, there are so many ridges over here. And then finally, when you get really close, you can actually see the shapes. There are different trees. There are different colors. There are different animals. There's water. All the details is what you get to experience. So what this means is the level of realization is dependent on how close or how far away we are from Krishna. The closer we come to Krishna, now we may say that Krishna is everywhere. He's in the atom. He's within us as Paramatma, where everything that is existence is Brahman. So how can we be far away from him? Far away is the consciousness, our awareness. Our awareness. So, for example, if you see when a horse runs in a race horse, they put these blinders at his eyes. So what he can't see everything else. He only sees ahead. He can only see ahead. So this blinder, similarly, our consciousness has these blinders of materialism. That materialism is we see ourselves as the body. This is my body. I don't see who I really am. And because I can't see who I really am, I can't see this. I can't see here and there. Whatever is around me, I can't see Krishna. I only see everything in relation to myself. So as we get these blinders off, as we get closer and closer and closer to Krishna, as we elevate our consciousness, our awareness, then we understand the truth more and more. Till such time, it is just a haphazard, incomplete, wrong understanding of truth that we experience. Okay, so this is, keep in mind, the 3 stages of understanding the absolute truth. Now, if we understand Shloka 27, it talks about Brahman realization. So let's go a bit deeper. So we understood this characteristic. It is immortal, imperishable, forever, correct? Eternal. That is what Brahman is. Now, Brahman realization is the first stage of realizing the absolute truth. So, Brahman and Paramatma is within the Supreme Personal, Bhagavan. It's within them. So how it works is that first, the living entity who's superior in nature, keep that in mind, we are part and parcel, we are the Bahiranga Shakti, we are the external, this is the internal energies, the three energies that we spoke of, correct? Then Samvit, Ladini, and Sandini, they are the internal energies of Krishna. We are the marginal energy of Krishna. And then the material energy is the external energy of Krishna. That's the Aparashakti, and we are the Parashakti. The three internal and the marginal is called the Parashakti of Krishna. Now, what happens is, we have said that, okay, we don't want to be close to Krishna. We want to be the enjoyer instead of enjoyer. So Krishna says, fine, go ahead. You could have all your fun in the external energy. Because if you're close to Krishna, it is not possible to enjoy separately. It's not possible. You can only think you're enjoying separately is if you're far away from him. That is the external energy. So what happens is the living entity gets conditioned. We've heard that we've learned this, how Mahavishnu, he glances, correct? And his glance, he impregnates material nature. So Mother Nature is impregnated with all of us through his glance. That's the first step. Now, once we are entangled in this material nature, a superior entity has been dunked in something which is inferior. And because we are so infinitesimal, and the material nature is so much more powerful and larger than we are, we get engulfed by it. But that engulf doesn't mean we become like it. We still maintain our identity of that spiritual spark. So what happens is when we start understanding spiritual knowledge, like what we're doing, we are cultivating our spiritual knowledge. We all have knowledge, but that knowledge is all dovetailed into I, me, myself, whatever it be. Whatever it be, finally it comes down to, mere mein kya hai isme? What do I get out of this? But when we start engaging in spiritual knowledge, like what we're doing, Bhagavad Gita class in the morning we're doing, we're cultivating, we're learning, we're trying to figure things out. So at that time, we start understanding this Brahman conception. We know that there is something much bigger and beyond ourselves. We're just one tiny, tiny little dot. Now, Brahman conception is transcendental. It has basically taken us out from that I, me, myself and expanded our consciousness outside of our own selves. So what happens is at this stage of realization, we transcend whatever is our material position. Material position is I, me, myself, mine. And then when Brahman realization, when we get to it, it is not complete. If you remember the previous slide, it is not complete. It is a partial understanding. Then you have to come to the next stage, which is a semi-complete understanding. You understand the Paramatma, and then you understand the full aspect of Krishna, the Sat, which includes Sat Chit Ananda. It includes this. So what happens in Brahman realization? It's a great first step. However, what sadhus and shastras tell us that you cannot stay here forever. The reason being that is in the Brahman realization, the intelligence has sharpened, but it is not fully sharp. It's still not perfectly clear. The nature of things, how things are, the absolute truth. We've just had a glimpse or a taste of the absolute truth. So there's always a risk of falling down. There's always that risk of falling down. So if you see here, We don't have the full understanding. It's just a little hazy. We know that there is some shape. Earlier, we didn't know also about the shape. So what we have to do is we have to come here and get closer and closer and as close as possible. That's when the actual truth is realized in full. So what happens in Brahman? You have a choice. You can either move up to the next level or fall down. You cannot stay there where you are. So this is the encapsulation based on Prabhupada's purport of Shloka 27. Now, if we see the fourth point is how to get closer. That is called bhakti, loving devotional service. Why? Because it includes all those three steps. It directly brings you to Krishna. It's like taking an elevator. So this is the highest position. We can take a stair. So you're climbing up. It's a slope. You're climbing up. You reach one rest stop or one milestone, but you can't remain there. You try to catch your breath, or you say, okay, let me look around. You'll only slip down. So from here, you continue your endeavor. You come to the Paramatma realization. You can go even higher to the Bhagavan realization. That is one way of doing it. But that's very laborious. Very laborious. And each level purifies the consciousness, sharpens the intelligence, brings about more and more realization. However, there's always this risk of slipping. So, what the Vaishnavas, what Krishna in his mercy has done is he has given the process of bhakti. Bhakti is you start here at ground zero. You're not climbing here. What you're doing is you come here at ground zero, take the elevator and directly go up. Safe. You press the button, you go up. Now, if you see an elevator, it is an enclosure, correct? It is an enclosure. And there is some electricity which is driving it, pulling it up, taking it up. So that elevator is this bhakti, that enclosure, that process is bhakti of going up. And that enclosure is our do's and don'ts. You open one of the doors or you do mess around with the mechanism, the elevator is going to stop over there. Now, when you are in this company, of the Vaishnavas, they know exactly, oh, you have to press this button. We don't know when we enter the elevator. Do this, do that. Like that, the elevator takes us up all the way to Krishna. So it is the safest position to be in this bhakti, right? And the Upanishad mentions that he is the reservoir of all pleasure. Now, if we can understand what it means, is that when you get connected to Krishna, it is only natural. It's like if you jump into water, you get wet. You connected with Krishna, you're bound to be happy. So when he understands Bhagwan realization, he is transcendently blissful. See, this is a very operative word, transcendently blissful. Whatever happiness we have is just a flicker, is just a shadow, just a perverted reflection of the real bliss, Ananda. So it's above whatever we've experienced so far. And as it has been explained already, he has all these 6 opulences. There is this exchange of 6 opulences. Of course, we can never be full, but in comparison to whatever we have, it is exponential. It is exponential. And the analogy is simple to understand. Prabhupada has given this good example. The servant of a king enjoys equal opulence at the level of the king. Almost equal. How is that so? Look at it. A servant, if he's in the palace, he's in a palace. He's not in a jhopadpatti. So like that, when we take this path of bhakti, that's where we are in a natural position, and everything else is included. The Paramatma realization, the Brahman realization, it's included in bhakti. So an intelligent man will figure out, why will I go climbing with a risky process when here I'm already covered, and all I need to do is just follow what is told, and I reach there. That journey is a lifetime. So in this lifetime itself, if it is done properly, we can have the full realization of the absolute truth. So the summary of chapter 14, that we are Brahman. We are the spiritual entity. And we have this propensity to laud it. We are superior, right? The marginal energy is superior to the material energy. And this desire to enjoy separately from Krishna makes us fall down. Fall down is this consciousness of ours. Of course, it's a physical situation also, that we are in this material world, but it's a consciousness which gets thoroughly polluted. And then the material world, as we had discussed, and different devotees had discussed these three modes of material nature, that is the prime mover of all these activities that we do. And we have fallen in it. You know, the earlier example, you fall in water, you get wet. So we fall in these mode, material nature, which has these three modes, and that compels us to dominate. All of us are trying to establish our authority. All of us. Everyone wants to be a Prabhu. No one wants to be a Das. In our consciousness, we all are trying to control things. And when we can't control things, it becomes a fearful situation. We identify ourselves with the body, we become fearful. We become so fearful, we have so much anxiety, all because of loss of control. Fear is nothing but the sense of loss of control, which is really a simple thing. Because if you understand that you're not the controller, you're the controlled, just the simple understanding will make you fearless. How can you ever be destroyed? You cannot be destroyed. Bhagavad Gita says, right? Chapter 2, sword can't cut it, wind can't dry it, water can't wet it, fire can't burn it. How can you ever get destroyed? But we don't know who we are. We see this body can get destroyed. We see all the material things around us getting destroyed. We identify with that and we think the same thing happens to me. Oh, you know, I can lose my job, recession is coming up. Oh, this will happen, that will happen. I'll lose my loved one, I'll lose my position, I'll lose my status. And we do everything to maintain that. Chasing shadows. So this is what makes us dominate the material world. And we get karma and different bodies that we get. And every body, whether it is an ant or whether it is a Devi Devta, all of us in different bodies, different capacities. To the best of our abilities, we are trying to dominate. But there is a shining light bhakti. So once we engage in bhakti, it straight away puts you on a different position, no longer karma, akarma. You're out of all these clutches. And the degree to which we have engaged in bhakti, the degree to which the sincerity with which we do it, to that degree, we get away from the clutches of Maya. Now you see this third point, practicing the processes of devotional service in association of devotee under the influence of spiritual master removes one's material desire to dominate and become firmly fixed in devotional service. Please keep this in mind, okay? The next slide is going to refer to this, and you have all the clues and answers in this. Practicing the 9 processes of devotional service, doing bhakti. How? In company of devotees. On your own, impossible because Maya is too strong. And under the instructions of the spiritual master. Removes all this illusion that I am the dominator. Removes that illusion that I am the body. It's, you know, these blinkers, it's removing it out. One becomes firmly fixed in bhakti. So in such a situation, when we fully understand this Brahman conception, full understanding, that Sat aspect as what it is. Why? Because we've already reached the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That realization is there. Mahaprabhu, the Acharyas, Guru Parampara, they have handed this to us. They have made it so simple. So simple. So now here we'll have our group participation. I encourage all of you to please don't feel shy. Don't worry about right answers, wrong answers. The thing is, what can we do differently? We all are doing stuff. What can we do to achieve total God realization, Bhagwan realization? What is it that we can do?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mata.
Thank you so much for wonderful class. Yeah,
All good.
first we had to follow first Guru Parampara, our Parampara, right? To like for God realization every day, day-to-day life, if we think about Krishna, if we keep the Krishna in the center, then we experience that by like material world. We are in Kali Yuga. So every time we are just experiencing, if when we are connected to this our Prabhupada's mission, then we feel like, oh, Krishna is with us. So many times it happened. Like one time, my Prabhuji was on business trip in Japan, and they have earthquakes all the time there, right? And even one time in France. So he was in the mall and he was talking with me, and he said, oh, they are saying you have to just come out from this mall. There is something going on. And then he was again suddenly disconnected. And I was just praying to Krishna, you only can save us. And then after some time, couple of hours, he just called me and he said someone came with black guy only and with a bag, and he just said, just follow me. And he showed the exit, because in the mall, means when we are in a new place, it's very difficult to find, and he came out. So we don't know, because we don't have that Divya Drishti, but some Krishna is coming in the world and helping us also, but we don't know. And I felt so many times. 20 years back, 25 years back, we went to Nepal, and that time our car was going in other direction to China border, and that time I was pregnant also, and I just throwing up. And they said, the driver said, I think we missed the road and we are going to wrong direction. Other person, like his colleague's wife also, she was also very religious, and we started to pray. Suddenly one truck came, that driver, and he said, just follow us. And after that, we didn't see that truck also. So he is coming to help us, but only we are so attached to this material world, we cannot see him with the eyes.
So
I feel.
very nice, Mataji. Very nice real life examples. But when you say follow, so whom do you give up the following with? So you said follow parampara.
Like
So to follow parampara, what do you, does it work if you follow
how our
parampara and continue
acharyas,
doing what we're doing?
yeah, how our acharya said, like early morning get up, and then in Brahma Murta we just chanting and whatever we are doing,
Yeah,
offering and all
that's
that.
what is prescribed. The
Yeah.
question, what I'm asking, Mataji,
Mhm.
is that okay, follow instructions, spiritual instructions of Guru
Yeah.
Sadhu, Shastra, and they say get up early, do this, do that.
Mhm.
So, for one who wants to have God realization, to do this, what should he not do?
What should we not do? Yeah, when we do wrong things, automatically when we are connected to this more material thing, I don't know, miss corruption, bribes. That's not good thing, right? In this Kali Yuga nowadays, people
It's
are
open for
making
all. By the way, the discussion is open for all, so you can join in, please.
yeah. Please, others can join.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah.
For not to do with this will be, not talking about people's, backbiting, uh, not hurting people, right? Not using the long, trying to demoralize or, putting somebody down.
Okay. Prajalpa, good one.
I think not following the four regulative principles is another thing, and in addition to the first point.
Regulation principles is do's.
Correct.
So, and in that do's is included don't eat meat, don't do this, don't do that. So to follow that, to actually adopt the regulative principles, what do we have to do? What do we have? Let me put it the other way.
So that was my thing to the first point, right? Where you say, what are the things that we should not do? So we should, the negative, instead of saying we should follow the four regulative principles, I would say we should not follow the four regulative principles. We should, that is what we should not be doing.
Correct. So how can we not eat meat? How can we not get into intoxication? How can we not, whatever, gambling, illicit union? How? Because left on our own, we'll do that. So now the acharyas tell us do this.
So when we are in good association,
Avoid,
just follow. Then
avoid company of non-devotees as much as possible.
Prabhuji, I want to add here one more thing here.
Please.
So Prabhuji, as per my God realization, I would say that we need to get interacted with the pure devotee. When you get interacted with pure devotee, everything gets very, very
That's what
crystal
is the
clear.
thing, but how? What is it that you have to give up to associate with the pure devotees? Yes.
We don't know that, Prabhuji. We don't know that, right? When if you put me in my shoes, I don't know what Krishna conscious is, right? Now my path Paradakshar Guru is Jagdishima Prabhuji, who is on the call. He directed me, why don't you do Krishna conscious? Your all distress will go away. So in case I would have gone to some other person, he would have not guided me to come to Krishna consciousness. So catching the hand of Jagdishima Prabhuji, Govardhan Prabhuji, I came to Krishna consciousness. They are the pure devotees, right? So if your realization would not turn up if you're not interacting with the pure devotees, right?
That is given. That is given. So, like if you see, following the parampara, which is, association of devotees, here it is, to get an association of devotees, you have to give up the company of non-devotees. So in your case, what you're saying is holding the hand of a pure devotee. What do you have to let go?
Automatically, everything will let go, right? Automatically, everything will let go.
It won't happen automatically.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji in Kali Yuga, like Nam Sankirtan. Holy name.
Let me clarify this.
It is not an overnight process. It's not definitely an overnight process.
Hang on. Hold your thought. Let me clarify it. So yes, it's not an overnight process. Many other things are there. So we now have some understanding that, okay, fine, Guru Sadhu says, do this. Correct? Now, that's what is said. Now there is something on us. It's incumbent on us. So for example, someone had mentioned get up at Brahma Muhurat to do quality japa. Yes, we understand that. But to get up at Brahma Muhurat, you have to sleep early. You can't be awake till 11:30, 12, 1 watching movies or whatever to get up at 4. So it means I'm giving up all the other activities which should keep me up late. That's the thing that we are asking for. That what are the things that we have to do differently from our karmi lifestyle, from our non-devotional lifestyle. And all of us have a mix of devotional and non-devotional. So what is it that we can do differently from the karmi? Right now we're talking about the bhakti points. But to do those bhakti points, what is it about the material stuff which is non-bhakti that we have to disengage from? So if it is holding the hand of a pure devotee, then what do we do?
The first thing I think, Prabhuji, is to get a non-offensive mode. So basically we get envious and we think of, like, we unknowingly or knowingly do offenses towards the other jivas, especially to the devotees, especially to the people when we associate in the bhakti. So that is, I think, is the main reason for that is the main reason for the all other anarthas that creep in our sadhana.
Excellent. And very important point. In our Sunday school, one mother told me that her child, means this is the previous, before COVID, her older child, a younger kid is in our class, her older child has stopped coming to the temple. And this is because when she was in Sunday school, there were other kids who are devotees' children, like the parents are devotees. They have been raised in a Krishna conscious environment. And they used to single her out that, oh, your parents haven't taken initiation, and oh, you have onion garlic in your house, and oh, this, that, and all that, kind of discriminatory. And this, the mother said, she's saying a child is a child. They're really little kids. A child is a child. So if these things are being discussed amongst the parent, that person is not a karmi, this person is not initiated, that person is this way, that person, kids listen. They listen and see our behavior more than what we tell them. And that comes out. Of course, with parents, as an adult, there is this level of diplomacy or duplicity. We may say something behind the back, but in front we'll be very good. So she's saying this is what has happened. And sadly, that child has been driven. She's saying, why will I come here when I'm made to feel different? So this is what the non-offensive point is. We cannot get onto the path of bhakti as long as we carry this baggage with us. You cannot. It's just not possible. It may happen temporarily, it may happen externally, but there won't be any transformation in that consciousness. We'll have all the gyan. So nice point, Hari Kishore Prabhu. Thanks for bringing that up. So what is the baggage that we drop? Prajalpa, satsanga,
Finding fault in others and being judgmental.
Yeah. These are few. I mean, there are so many. Anyone would like to add more? You're already 5 minutes over, 7 minutes over.
And Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I think Prabhu, the Vaishnava Aparad also we can consider that.
So is it okay then to do aparad with others?
No, Prabhu, that Vaishnava Aparad means doesn't mean like do the aparad with others.
Correct. So I think here we could put it in this category, non-offensive. Our treatment to the Vaishnav. I mean, how will we treat a Vaishnav nicely if we can't treat someone who's a non-Vaishnav nicely? Because one of the characteristic of a Vaishnav, a Bhakta, is para dukha dukhi. There's no distinction. Oh, ye Vaishnav, Of course, our honor and respect and our wanting to associate and serve that person is there. But even what we call this thing, karmi. Oh, he's this, he's that, she's this. Yeah. Thanks, Jagdish Prabhu.
I remember Lal Govind Prabhuji one time he was mentioning that the beginning maybe you feel like he was giving an example character, right? Somebody do the movie character. Though he has not those quality, but he's trying to go into that character, and slowly maybe sometime it becomes serious. We have seen that during Mahabharata, some people just doing the acting as a profession, but those characters slowly they become serious. So he was saying that sometimes you feel that with some association your bhakti is increasing. Maybe artificially you are associating, asking him what he do, you trying to imitate, and then you see that your bhakti is increasing. Maybe you're doing beginning artificially, but slowly become serious because your association is taking you the good direction.
Correct. The association, 100% right, Prabhu. But at the same time, our conditioning is such that it could remain. There are times, there are people, look at it this way. There are people who had direct association with Srila Prabhupada, personal association, and Prabhupada's direct disciples. And still there have been fall down. So they have been in an environment of Vaishnavas, of pure Vaishnavas, of empowered Vaishnavas. So it is like we have a nature, all of us, we have our conditioning, different degrees of conditioning we have, all of us. And when we are in this thing, what does it mean to remain in association? What does it mean to be in association? There is a very famous saying, going to a church doesn't make you a disciple or a devotee. It will make you a devotee as much as a car parked in a garage becomes a garage. So the whole thing is association means to serve. Serve the instructions, serve the Vapu, serve the Vani. And that service is what comes from us. And when we are serving, the intensity with which we serve, the seriousness with which we serve, cuts all these other anarthas that we bring with us. It could be for several association. So the association that we have is like a kavach. But a kavach has to be worn properly. You can't just put on a Kevlar vest and go into battle. You have to tie it up and put that Velcro, and everything else has to be done. Haphazardly karega, it will fall on. You could wear the Kevlar vest, but it will leave you exposed, and Maya can come and attack over there. So yes, staying in the association, even like a drama we are doing. And the other example of how we can understand it is that the association is like a steel bowl. You know, when we are scrubbing a pot, you make lasagna and all that cheese and all gets burnt and stuck to the pan. So you have that association is like that scrubber. You take that scrubber, you could be scrub it lightly, scrub it inattentively. Effect is there, but minimal effect is there. Minimal effect is there. And we have a lifetime. A lifetime, I don't know, tomorrow I may pass away. My lifetime, it can get over. Do we have that luxury of time? It is happening. Gradually, it is happening. But it is incumbent on us. And that seriousness and the seva that we render, the intensity with which we do it, applies that pressure, that effectiveness of the scrubber. Works. Thank you. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Haribol. Okay. Anyone has any point to put, we could put in, or over to you, Sameshwar Prabhu.
Prabhuji, thank you so much. All goes to Srila Prabhupada and Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji. Your second slide, Prabhuji, it's so amazing. I love the slide, Prabhuji. Really love that. Yes. You see, when you go across a new devotee and explain them this Brahman relation, Paramatma relation, Bhagwan, it is so difficult to explain. But bolte na, dekhne se hi sab kuch clear ho jata hai, right? So the picture itself shows what we are trying to communicate there. So it tells 1,000 words by one showing the picture. And your picture is so amazing, so beautiful. And Prabhuji, the way you are presenting Bhagavad Gita by PPTs, it really loves us. Really loves us. So much hard work, and I would request that please pass on this PPT so that we can also share with our when we are conducting a class and use this kind of very, very good material, and that will bring the non-devotees more closer to Krishna consciousness, because so much of content is there which we are showing on these PPTs.
Yeah, thank you for your kind words. The credit is all to my early years of Radha Gopinath Mandir. And if I remember right, this particular example of the mountains was by His Grace Radha Gopinath Prabhu, one of the early, one senior disciple of Radhanath Swami Maharaj from Radha Gopinath Mandir. He has this Bhagavad Gita course, Understanding Bhagavad Gita. So these are his examples of things. All credit at his lotus feet. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
No problem.
I can send it to you. You give me your email.
Sure. No, it is all blessings of Someshwar Prabhuji about you. You are giving so wonderful classes, and that's the reason. See, yesterday I was able to finish Disciple Close, right? And Govardhan Prabhuji, right, attending the classes. I was just, I just was part of the team. Means you wrote the second point as a sangha. When you are interacted with pure devotees, all other drawbacks will go away automatically. Now you talk to Jagdishima Prabhuji. He will never do all those things. It will automatically go off. Everything will go off, right? True. So when you interact with good sangha, everything will go up. Now you go and talk to Jay Prakash Prabhuji, you will do amazing job in the kitchen. You don't have to do anything more. So it is most important, the pure devotee, if you're interacting, everything goes automatically by default.
Well, the thing is, we get association with the devotee, and then next minute we go and hang out with someone who's not on the path of bhakti. To asar padta hai. So it is like taking 2 steps forward, 1 step backward. 2 steps forward, 1 step backward. So it's going to be really, really a long time till we finish the crossing line. So we come on Sundays and we get charged. We get the physical association of devotees. But thanks to this technology, Prabhu, we are getting virtual association, and association is hearing. Hearing is the most important association. Visual and all that is also nice, but that hearing, as you said, Jagdish Prabhu, what will he talk about? He's not going to talk about Salman Khan or some other stuff. You will talk, you all will discuss, oh, this is it, there is this seva, how can we do that? It'll all be Krishna conscious related. But the same way when we go out Monday to Friday, Saturday, when we are out, we are exposed, and we grastis are exposed at a work environment. And also, what do? How do you maintain that consciousness? We get affected. We get affected. It works on us. And Maya is such that once you take to the path of bhakti, she sends all her Maharathis to bring us back. She does everything in her power to bring us back. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, even with a wooden doll, just a wooden doll, the mind can get agitated. So that's where we have to always be. To have the satsang ka benefit, we have to avoid asat. Nahi to kya hai na, as Madhupati Prabhu says, hum log now, we are rowing a boat. We're trying to cross this material ocean, but it is tied to the tree on the shore. So this is what we have to cut, that rope. So this is all the cutting. Thank you all. Thank you all so much. Hare Krishna. Sameshwar Prabhu, over to you, please. I think Prabhu must be busy with some other service. So we can bring this to a close, devotees. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Panchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Samaved Gaur Bhakti ki jai. Hari Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.